Hello and welcome to the first episode of I'm really bad at vlogging, so let's try doing a voiceover format instead. This is just some old footage that I took back before the world shut down and never got around to finishing since I'm lazy as hell when it comes to editing photos and videos. The primary focus of this video is going to be on the Lattice training hangboard that I finally convinced my boss at Purdue's climbing wall to buy for the gym, and me testing my finger strength on it. But I've also recorded some footage of me working on some of my project boulders since I've seen other channels on YouTube be pretty successful with doing voiceover commentary on their thought process and sending tactics while they're climbing, so I thought I'd give it a try as well. If you don't know what the Lattice training hangboard is, it's essentially a standardized edge size of 20 millimeters that Lattice, which is a climbing training company, has tested thousands of climbers with how much weight they can add and still hang on to it for 7 seconds. Using this data, they can tell you if you have weak fingers and amazing technique, or freaky strong fingers and shit technique because you can add 110 pounds but only climb V6. Definitely not talking about myself or anything there. You don't have to have Lattice's exact hangboard to do this same test, but it'll give you more definitive results since their edge has a fairly unique geometry, where even though it's advertised as a 20 millimeter edge, there is actually only 10 millimeters of flat, followed by a 10 millimeter radius, so the edge itself feels closer to a 15 millimeter edge without such a large radius. Before shooting this video, I had actually done the Lattice test a few months ago using the Rock Prodigy training hangboard made by Trango that our gym already had. But the exact edge sizes on that thing are really difficult to find online, so I kind of had to guess which one was the closest to 20 millimeters. On that hangboard, I think I managed to add 105 pounds, weighing at 160 pounds body weight, so around 165% total load, which placed me squarely smack dab in the middle of the range for V10 finger strength. This was actually quite discouraging to me at the time since I had been stuck at the V6 to V7 level for almost 2 years at that point, and it genuinely seemed like to me that my finger strength was a limiting factor as to why I couldn't climb harder, since I was falling off of V8s and V9s simply because I was unable to even hang on to some of the holds that were used to set them. So of course I brushed off the test as the Trango board being much easier to hang on to than the Lattice board, and that if I ever tested my finger strength on the Lattice board, I would end up getting a finger strength rating closer to V6 or V7, confirming my belief that my fingers were in fact weak for the grade I climbed. Of course, that never happened, and as you're seeing on the screen right now, while the Lattice hangboard is indeed slightly harder than the Trango hangboard, it isn't by much, and I still ended up adding 100 pounds for the 7-second testing hang, which still placed me smack dab in the middle for V10 finger strength. So my climbing friends at Purdue know me as somewhat of a climbing training nerd because of all the hangboarding that I do, or used to do at least. Jackie here actually likes to make fun of me for always dangling a giant nutsack of weights below me all the time, which is absolutely what I'm doing. However, I was getting tired of improving my hangboarding numbers, but not progressing my bouldering grades by much. So of course, I went to one of my favorite resources for climbing training knowledge, which is the climbharder subreddit on Reddit. There, I made a post detailing everything that I've told you guys, as well as my past climbing experiences, and I provided this video of me bouldering on one of the harder problems in the gym at the time. I then proceeded to get roasted alive by the entire subreddit, just absolutely shitting on my technique, accusing me of poor core tension, lack of commitment and try hard, inefficiency issues, poor body positioning, and overall just a shit climber. In hindsight, I probably should have provided a video that didn't feature me cutting feet on a big move, but I didn't have any other videos of myself on my phone at the time, and I was desperate for advice on how to break my plateau. I'll leave a link to the full Reddit thread in the description below if you want to read the full roasting for yourself. There's definitely some helpful comments in there, and I've definitely taken a lot of them to heart since then. And lo and behold, as of today, May 27th, 2020, I am now flashing V8s on the moonboard that I built in my garage, and I'm making a lot of progress on some of the V9s and V10 benchmarks that are on that board. Also, side note, I'm working on a video of how I built that thing, so make sure to be subscribed if you're interested in seeing that build process. I promise I'm going to start making videos more often now that I've officially graduated and never have to do homework ever again in my life. Okay, so if you're still watching at this point, I guess it's time for me to actually talk about the footage that you've been watching. This red problem that I've been falling off repeatedly is around V6 to V7 and was set by one of our recent hires, Vivek. He's a super strong climber that really likes to force certain betas on the routes that he sets, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. On this particular problem, I kept on falling off of the second to last move, where my left foot would cut every single time, and I was too weak to campus to the finish hold after climbing the rest of the problem. Tio here had actually sent the problem a few days ago fairly easily, and he had no trouble keeping his foot on for the final move. When I was working on it this day, I put all my focus towards figuring out how to keep my foot on for the last move. After a few failed attempts, I realized that if I stretched my right leg out more to the right side, it somehow helped me maintain better tension in my left foot, and I finally managed to do the last two moves in isolation. Also, if anyone with better technique than me wants to tell me why that works, please leave a comment down below. I then proceeded to chuff on my first send attempt by keeping my foot on for the last move, but then having it slip off when actually attempting to go for the finish hold. Thankfully, I finally sent the damn thing on my next attempt, as you can see here. An apple panned out, it makes your eyes light up. You come and say a howdy, shoot fly pie. An apple panned out, I'll never get enough of that wonderful stuff. Working on this problem definitely helped kickstart my brain into really focusing on the microbeta that's necessary for sending certain problems and the process that's required for figuring it out. I think I can pinpoint this send as the moment when things finally started to click for me, and I accepted that my technique could definitely be improved upon. Okay, so this next problem that you're watching is a blue 2-finger pockets only route set by our headsetter James, who crushes V10 on the regular and seems to be a big fan of pockety routes. Prior to this day, I had linked every single move on the problem together except for the final move, which I had thought was a right-hand cross to the finish accompanied by a deep right leg back flag. I had tried this move in isolation many times in the past, but could never hang on to the left-hand pocket no matter how much I back flagged because it was too slopey and on an overhang. I then finally decided to instead try locking off with my right hand and bumping my left hand to the finish. I didn't stick it the first time here, but it definitely felt more stable and secure than my previous beta, and I managed to do the move in isolation on my next attempt. I didn't chuff my first send attempt this time, and sent the problem pretty easily once I figured out the beta.
I'll never get enough of that wonderful stuff. Shoe fly pie, shoe fly pie, shoe fly pie, an apple fan dowdy. I'll never get enough of that wonderful stuff.
If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for sticking around and watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to my channel, and let me know what you think of the voiceover format. I'm moving to California in August for work, and will hopefully be able to make a lot more climbing videos there compared to the barren wasteland that is Indiana. My name is Michael, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace!